I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, a podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Corky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon, and we are
Hey,
back.
Matt.
Hello.
And we're back on our bullshit.
As usual. Rachel, how are you feeling? You sound hoarse.
I am hoarse, but I feel fine.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, no, for anyone who double dips on the Rachel podcast fandom, I suppose. I don't know. It's weird to talk about like that. They will know that I was a robot on the last episode of the Infinity podcast because I had no voice. So I am very grateful for this scratchy, hoarse, sultry voice that I have now.
Oh, duh, the bass.
Because it's a voice.
I think your voice sounds musical.
Thank you.
That is our incredible guest, Reb
I'm so excited.
Valentine. Reb, thank you for being on the show.
Hey, what's up? Glad to be here.
Hey, Reb. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Reb is a games journalist, a podcaster, an all-around gaming badass, and someone I adore on the internet. We're going to chat a bit with Reb after we talk about what we've been watching and all the stuff she's been working on. But first, as always, we like to start our show by talking about the things we've most recently watched. And to not break from format, I will go first, as usual.
Yes.
One day we'll shake it up and let the guest go first, but today is not that
Be
day.
great. That'd be nuts.
It's less intimidating if you go first. There's like a palette kind of down. I understand what's going on.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Also, if I can do it, literally anyone on the planet can. So I like to lead by example. So the show that I'm bringing is a show I've been a fan of for a long time, but I know we touched on in the Scott Thomas episode, but we didn't actually talk about. And so my show this week is the incredible sci-fi show Doctor Who. I've been a Doctor Who fan since Christopher Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor.
Yes.
I have since gone back and watched the older Doctors. It's older TV, so I like it in the same way you like bad black box theater. You know, it's fine. But I'm a fan of the newer series. I'm, of course, a huge fan of the current Doctor. I think she's phenomenal. And I won't get into spoilers too much because I don't know what everyone has seen, especially this season, because there's been some big reveals already.
Yeah, I'm so far behind. I fell off after Capaldi took over.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm back there. So
No worries.
yeah,
Reb,
I'll get there eventually. There's so much consumable media.
it's too much.
It's too much.
Reb, do you watch Doctor Who at all?
This is terrible. I don't know a single thing about it except for the blue police box thing. And it's very bad because at my job I work with a lot of UK folks, and so they are all extremely excited about Doctor Who all the time, and they're always saying things like, "Oh, enjoy the new Doctor Who episode today." And I'm like, all right.
I will.
Sure.
I love when the Doctor was smart and solved it. There you go.
I mean, that's pretty much an explanation for every episode. So the Doctor Who, the basic premise is it's a alien who travels in space and time in their blue box, the TARDIS, that's bigger on the inside, and they have a rotating cast of companions who help them out. Some who've been romantic, some who've just been good friends. And the current season, and the Doctor has always canonically been a man up until the most recent iteration, where Jodie Whittaker took over as the Doctor, because the Doctor is a race of alien called Time Lords. Time Lords don't die. If they are only hurt badly, they regenerate and become someone else. They regenerate a brand new body, and it's an excuse for them to have different actors play the same role so it can go on forever.
It was definitely because William Hartnell, the first Doctor, was an older man, and the show was so popular, but he was getting on in years. So they were kind of like, we want the show to keep going, but we want to keep this like character, but like Hartnell's done. So they just like had him regenerate into whoever the second Doctor was. I used to know all the names of all the Doctors because I used to be like super into all that. I will say, if you ever want a primer on Doctor Who and you don't have time to like go read about it, Craig Ferguson, when he was doing his late show, did a song to the theme song of Doctor Who, and it's pretty much just like explaining Doctor Who, but it's so fun. And every time I hear the theme song, I'm like, he traveled the world to fight all the forces of evil. It's great.
I do love Craig Ferguson. That does sound quite appealing.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's like all of his puppets are helping. Like, that guy's a huge Doctor Who fan, and it's just a delight.
My favorite thing about that bit is that it never aired on TV because he couldn't get the rights to air it. CBS, I think it was CBS he was on, kiboshed it. They were like, we don't have the rights. It's too expensive, this and that.
Yeah.
So then he didn't. Someone, finger quotes, accidentally leaked it onto YouTube so everyone could see it.
Excellent.
And it was Ryan Reynolds, like he is wont to do.
And so what I love about Doctor Who is it's kind of like this excuse to keep the series going by doing the regeneration. But I love that act of like someone, a supreme kind of superhero-ish character becoming someone else. And so, of course, rightfully so, everyone was super excited when the Doctor became a woman this time because there were no rules that the Doctor had to be a man. It was just, patriarchy. And so I've really been enjoying the new season because I like the new Doctor. I think that this is her second season, and it's fun sci-fi adventures. If you like Star Trek and you like a Star Wars or two, Doctor Who.
I like a handful of those.
A handful of Star Wars?
Yeah, just a couple
Just a
of the
couple.
Star
You don't
Wars.
want to overdo the Star Wars.
I am maybe the worst person to be on this podcast then. I listened to one of your last ones, and you opened it by saying very firmly that Star Wars is fine, and that's honestly my entire opinion of Star Wars. It's fine.
You're fine.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
It's a-
I like
it's a
Firefly.
war
I grew up with Star Trek Voyager.
Star.
That's about as much space as I get.
I mean, Star Trek Voyager is a favorite of mine. That was Janeway, right? Captain Janeway.
Yes,
Voyager
I wanted
was.
to be her when I grew up.
I love Janeway. I will often go to bat that Janeway is almost as good as Picard. Picard is still my favorite, but Janeway was up there for me. And then Firefly, of course, I loved. I think that you're not in the wrong place. I think that I was wrong to bring Doctor Who on a podcast when people haven't seen the new stuff. But that's not necessarily what this is about.
Yeah, how dare
No.
you,
Dare I?
Matt?
I'm
You
the
love
worst.
the thing. Talk about the thing you love.
But I will say this, Reb, if you have not watched it and you are interested in watching it, it is a kind of adventure of the week a la a Buffy or a Firefly. And so
I do like Buffy.
The overarching narrative is important, but you wouldn't be completely lost watching the show without it. If you knew the conceit that the Doctor is really smart, solves problems, loves humanity, wants to help people, like that's all you really need to enjoy it. And again,
So I could start with the current season and not just be totally baffled.
I mean, you might be a little confused about certain things, but the cool, there are some reveals in the first couple episodes, but they also are very good about being when new characters come onto the show, they are an avatar for audience members who may be new to the show. I feel like if you started with last season, which is the first season Jodie Whittaker did, you'd probably be fine.
Yeah.
That said, I started with the 9th Doctor, which was
Eccleston.
Yeah, which was Eccleston, but that was in 2010, 2005?
No, that was 5. That was
2005.
2005. Yeah,
and
because it ended in the 80s.
Oh, that's right.
And then there was a standalone movie done in the U.S. And then they were trying to reboot it in the 90s, and the movie didn't go over very well.
Yeah.
And then in 2005, BBC picked it up again.
Yeah, and
It's been going ever since.
And so I watched it from then, and I was a little confused, but the show is pretty good about wanting to inform the audience, but also if you like a Monster of the Week kind of show, you can get into it that way too. I like the earlier seasons of the new run, but that said, I think if you jumped in with the newest stuff, you'd just be psyched to see this badass woman just kicking butt and smarting her way through stuff, because she's a very fun version of the Doctor.
Very smart. No guns.
No guns.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
no guns.
that was
I
actually,
will.
that
I
was
will
some-
admit, just the vision of her when she was announced as the new Doctor, just kind of standing there with her big coat and the suspenders,
so
it's
cute.
very appealing. It's just okay, I don't know who she is, but she just seems deeply cool.
Well,
Yeah.
well, and something
Like
I
if
think-
she said, "Go on an adventure with me," I'd be like, Yeah, fine,
Okay.
sure.
Sure, why
Done.
not?
I'm in.
Well, also, Reb, for you, I think it'd be a fun draw because, like Rachel mentioned, the Doctors Against Guns tries to avoid violence, and I know that you like media that isn't necessarily overly violent or that aren't about guns, at least, you know, that take a different path. I know you've talked about that a lot in gaming, and so I think the Doctor would be fun for you that way, too, because she's very much of the mind of, like, solving with words, with your brains, not necessarily taking out a gun and shooting somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the best sell I have had on Doctor Who so far. This is pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. Then I've done my job.
Finally. Screen snark. We did it.
We did it. We've accomplished something.
Okay,
Finally.
thank you. Thank you all so much for listening.
Yeah, good night.
Good. All right, bye forever. We got someone interested in Doctor Who here. I'm good. Peak.
But yeah, I think that's all I've got to say on it for now without going into spoilers. I'm really digging the new season. Also, when I watch a show for funsies, as I would put it, I don't overthink it much. Sometimes I'll be watching something with my spouse and she won't like it as much because she has an analytical mind and she wants to, you know, pick things apart and discuss them with me. And I love doing that. But I'm also very capable, and I know not everyone is, of kind of turning my brain off and letting the thing wash over me. Not all the time, but like with things I really enjoy, a la a Star Wars or a Doctor Who, I can kind of just take it in.
Yeah.
But I think that
Respond to it emotionally.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that said, the season did start with a bang, especially for diehard Doctor Who fans, and so that got me re-excited for it. Because you know, when
Cool.
it takes a long break, and when you've been away from a show that you really like for a while, my brain at least tends to go, oh, I wonder if I'll still enjoy it. You know, even though fundamentally nothing might have changed.
I just had the dumbest idea ever.
Oh, what is that?
So you know how Doctor Who travels through space and time, and you know how like time is like a lake, and like time doesn't matter. I would love if somebody, maybe me, I don't know, it depends how somebody feels about this project. They watch Doctor Who backwards.
Interesting.
Think about it.
Wait, what?
Backwards. You start with the most recent season and you go backwards. So you are watching from most recent to least recent. So you're going from Jodie Whittaker all the way back through the 90s to the really bad movie. I liked the movie. I don't know why I said it was really bad. It's fine. It's fun. To the 80s, then into the 70s, and then into the 60s, back to the very first episode.
So much work. It seems
does.
like so much
I think it
work.
would be so buck wild.
I think that's why I have historically just kind of looked at Doctor, because I was born in 1991, right? Like, there was so much Doctor Who already existed when I was born, you know, let alone by the
Yes.
time I was old enough to be aware that Doctor Who was a thing that existed. I think that's why I've always just never touched it, because it's just enormous. It's so daunting.
Yeah.
It's like even worse than trying to look at the Marvel universe and be like, where the heck do I start with this? There are just so many
Yeah.
episodes of everything. And it's good to know that I don't necessarily need to be up on what's going on. But the fact that there are just these massive wikis and people can like quote it and like they see some sort of like, I don't know, there's like a robot that like beeps at you or something and they all know what it is and they all get really excited about it. And I'm just like, okay, I'm happy for you. I'm really glad you're excited about this, but that seems like so much. It's so much.
Yeah. I will say though, the 2005 Doctor Who like really does start with like a clean slate. It definitely does the thing where it's doing fan service for people who love Doctor Who in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but doesn't ever make it inaccessible. Like I know nothing of lore. Like, I'm always just, like, so confused about stuff. Like, it's why I never picked up reading Batman, because I was just like, no way. There's so much Batman. Are you kidding me? There's so much Batman to, like, read and look at and know. I can't. But the entry point for the reissue, I don't know, 2005, just, like, you don't need to know anything. And I feel like that's kind of the modus operandi for like gaining new viewers, because every time there's a new Doctor, then there's sort of like this new refresh button where you can be like, hey, now the Doctor's young and hot. Now the Doctor's kind of old and cool, and this one, he cries all the time. Boy howdy, does he cry a lot. Holy smokes, is this one? Oh, he cries all the time. And now this one is a lady. Cool. I think anytime there's a newer generation is just like a new entry point for fans. And then I think if you like loved that, then you have all of this like backlog of like joyful material to just like dive into or not, or just like go, what are the best episodes that Matt Smith did? Oh, okay, cool. Like his first one, like all of the like the River Song saga. Like I think there's so much that you can sort of like pick out and just like indulge in depending on like what you're interested in.
I mean, that said, I get it. Like, the reason I never...
Yeah, it's also daunting, for sure.
I mean, the reason I never watched Game of Thrones is because I watched the first episode and I didn't dig it. And next thing I knew, there were 3 seasons out. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go back and watch it all. And then it ended. And, like, I may...
And somehow you are the wisest of all of us.
You know what? No, I think it was in season whatever, I don't know, 6, whatever they were in, that I finally decided, fine, I'll catch up, because I'd read the books in high school, and I watched it. I like binge watched it all the way through, and I was caught up by the time the ending came out, and I watched the ending with everybody, and what a waste of my time, honestly. Like,
yeah.
There are so many other things I could have been doing, truly.
Yeah, if I had an inkling as to where that ended up, I would have dipped. I'd have been like, no, thank you.
Yeah, no.
But like, ugh, fuck. It makes me so mad. Makes me so mad to think about it. I try not to think about it too much. I spent years waiting for that goddamn show.
Yeah.
No. All right. Well, I think I've said all I'm going to say on Doctor Who at this point.
Yeah. Now we're on Game of Thrones, and I'm sad.
Well, Rachel, why don't you cue me for what we do at the end of a segment when we talk about a thing we like?
I will. I'm sorry. I was still thinking about Game of Thrones, being really sad and really hurt and really betrayed.
I apologize.
It's okay. It's fine. I think about it once a week.
Oh my gosh,
Matt.
that's so much to be thinking about Game of Thrones.
No, I don't. It's fine. That's a quote from the Sack Lunch Bunch, which I watched last episode.
Yes.
And I do think about the Sack Lunch Bunch once a week though. Like, it's so very good.
Acceptable.
So Matt, now that I've gone all over and have soothed my aching heart with thinking about John Mulaney, what are 3 words that you would use to describe Doctor Who? All of Doctor Who.
Jesus Christ.
All of it.
Let's see. Smart, sexy science.
Smart, sexy science. I love an alliteration.
Yeah,
That's great.
I do what I can. Well then, now that we've gotten that sci-fi jaunt out of the way, Rachel, what have you been watching lately?
Well, I've been watching some high fantasy bullshit.
Yeah, high fantasy bullshit.
Last night, I finally finished all of the first season of The Witcher.
Yes!
I have not watched it, so no spoilers, but please continue.
No spoilers. Don't worry.
Yes.
I can't. It's fine. I think The Witcher's fine.
Okay.
It was a little like. I think it front-ended a lot of lore, like really heavy, and I think there could have been more nuance in the way they sort of like built the world and its rules and stuff. Because the first few episodes, I was so confused. I was just like, what? Who? Where are we? I don't know. Who's this? And that's The Witcher. But like, who's, and why are we at the wizard place? Like, what's happening? And then whenever everything kind of clicks into place, I guess around episode 4, no spoilers, but like the moment when you realize that like something's going on with the way like time's being presented, I guess I hope that's not too spoilery.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
And then you're just like, oh, okay. And then by the episode where they go hunting the dragon, that's when I was like, okay, this show has hit its stride for me. But it took a while to get there. And then when it was done, I was like, I'm glad I'm out of this because I'm good for a while.
Oh. How much of The Witcher were you aware of before this, or had you absorbed by cultural osmosis?
I knew there was a game of it, and I knew he did a lot of sex in it in the game. And that's all I knew. Yes. And I didn't even know it was a book. I would totally read the book, though.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because that's the exact opposite perspective that I had. I also, like you, I knew about the games. I probably maybe had absorbed just a little bit more about kind of the plot of the games just from being a games person, like
Yeah.
a writer and stuff. But like I had never played any of the games. I'd never read any of the books. But I thought that it did a decent. I didn't feel that there was anything that I was missing in the early episodes. Like I got that Geralt is a dude. He's a witcher. What I know about witchers is that they kill monsters. A lot of people don't like them, and they have special powers. And honestly, for me, that was about all I needed to go on.
Yeah, I think it was just a lot of the B plots with like the mages and like some of the. And the thing is, like, not to bring Game of Thrones back into this, but like I love like dense fantasy. I love it when it's like a lot of pieces are moving and all of this, but I felt like this was sort of like a shadow of that first season of Game of Thrones that was kind of like, ooh, we gotta do murders and we gotta do boobies and we gotta barf a lot. There's also a lot of barfing in this, and I was not a fan of the number of times. Like, there's the one where they're like jumping through the thing, like the Doctor Strange spheres, and they're like leaping through
that was,
locations,
that was
and
a
then
little
like
much,
she's vomiting a bunch, and then like another dude vomits in that episode, and it was just it's a lot of puke. It's a lot of puke.
It really is.
And a lot of saying the fuck word, because now we say fuck in fantasy. But it was fun. Like I didn't walk away from it feeling like I wasted my time, but I definitely walked away from it going, huh, okay.
I think
I'll probably watch season 2.
I think the time skip confusion was a little much. It mostly bothered me because I hadn't experienced any of this outside of just sort of absorbing things from what people tweeted about, basically. But I did know that one of the facts about this show is that Geralt and Yennefer have lots of sex. Like, I am aware of this. And so it really threw me when Geralt is presented in, the early episodes as a grown-ass man, and Yennefer seems not like a little girl, but younger, like maybe a little bit young to be having sex with Geralt, conceivably.
Yes.
And so that just really confused me for a couple episodes, but then things started ticking along. But I think the other thing, and maybe what you're getting at as well, is that the magic stuff and who the characters were didn't bother me, but the world itself is just very confusing to me. I don't know who any of these countries are. I don't know who's in charge of them. I don't know which one's the bad country and which one's the good country. So
like, are we like, is it bad that like Citrone or whatever it's called like did a lot of bad things to elves, or like what's up? Like,
there's like some racism, but I'm not really sure who's racist. It's very
like who should I care about besides the bard?
The bard is great. Do we agree?
And then
the bard's
Jaskier
great?
is gone for like the last 3 episodes.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
And I was so sad. I love that song, the Toss a Coin to Your Witcher song, though. Like, that's a bop.
What an amazing earworm.
Oh, so good.
It's so good.
More Jaskier, please. Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny.
Spin him off into another show.
It's funny that the two of you talking about how you've absorbed most of your Witcher content through osmosis and have watched the show. I have yet to watch it, though. It's on my list. I finally finished the current season of The Expanse, which is the best sci-fi TV show ever.
Ooh.
But we've talked about that on the show already, so I'm not going to get into that. But now that I've caught up on The Expanse, I am going to dive into The Witcher. But I had played the games. Well, I should rephrase that. I played a half hour of the first game, didn't like it. And then I heard how good Wild Hunt was, which is the most recent one, the third game. And so my spouse got it for me as a Valentine's Day present years ago, when I guess the year it came out. And I did play it, and I loved it, but I couldn't finish it. I got open world paralysis, where you have like 100 options, and like I could do the main story, but literally I have to do this to get this equipment, to get this amount of money, so I can get this thing, and like I stopped.
And Zelda's just in the castle, just like fucking waiting for you to like get it together. God.
But I really liked the game, and I loved Geralt as a character. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
And then when they announced that Henry Cavill was playing him, and like I've seen everything that he's been in as Superman, for better or worse, and like I like him, but I did not like any of those movies. So when I saw he was playing this character and he actually loved the games and loved the books and like was coming at it from a place of knowing about the source material, I was like, oh, okay, I'm into it. And then Twitter released a section of him reading like a section of the book in his smoky Henry Cavill voice, and I was like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm in. You got me.
There we go.
Rachel, I know you didn't like all the fucks, but I do really love it when he
Oh,
just like opens a door and there's some magic nonsense on the other side, and it just looked like it's a normal castle. He opens a door, there's a bunch of like glowing crap on the other side, and he just looks at it and he goes, "What the fuck?" I just love it.
Yeah, I feel like I love cursing. I think the fuck word is a beautiful word and deserves to be monogrammed on most of my clothing. But there definitely is always that sort of like inner voice where it's just like, you're saying the fuck word because you can.
You want to say,
you know, versus like it being warranted. Like anytime like Geralt's in a terrible situation, he's just like, fuck, and it's just like, cool, I get that. But like some other instances where it's just kind of like, okay, I get it. You got that Netflix money. Just pump the brakes, you know, like you're gonna use this word to death, and then I'm gonna get semantic satiation over it, and it's not gonna mean anything to me anymore. Okay. You know, like I revere the word fuck so much that I think it should be used when it's warranted. Like now, fuck, you know. I had a good like I. It's weird to be like in this position of it was okay. I do recommend it, but I also like didn't love it. It's weird. I have a weird feeling about it because there's a lot of things that I really like and I think it does really well, and then other things I think it just kind of doesn't hit the mark for me. I don't know. I'll see how I feel. I don't hate it.
It might
I also
which is
think
great.
it's fair, right? Like, not to bring the dreaded show up again, but it does share many elements with Game of Thrones, and I think a lot of people got burned really hard on Game of Thrones, and I get being wary of this. Yeah,
I don't know how much of this is like a rebound fantasy show for me, because I was so deeply scarred. By that stupid HBO show that
you had a horrible breakup with Game of Thrones.
I had a really terrible breakup with Game of Thrones.
Show.
They dumped Game of Thrones dumped me so hard, and it hurt so bad because I gave everything to that stupid show. Gave everything to it. I went to bat for it repeatedly. I went to bat for it when it was not so great, and it was like, I mean, I get that you have to like truncate characters when you're like adapting to TV. I get it. I should have seen the writing on the wall. I should have. I'm sorry to talk about Game of Thrones. I hate it. But I would say if you enjoy interesting fantasy stories that deviate from the norm of prince or princess has adventure, like, check out The Witcher. Like, I'm gonna say you should check it out and decide for yourself. Also, I just really want to talk about like Yennefer's like need to get that thing that she lost back, because that one's, I'm just like, but it's fine. You can have mine, Yennefer. You can just have mine. You can take mine. Yeah. I don't want mine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we have to circle back to the evil X that is known as Game of Thrones, why don't we sum up your thoughts on The Witcher? So, Rachel, if you had to describe The Witcher in just 3 words, and 2 of those words cannot be the or Witcher, what are the, what are the 3 words you would use?
Fantasy that fucks.
Yeah.
It fucks. That show fucks.
I'm snapping.
The show does not make love. That show fucks. The Witcher is the Christian Grey of fantasy on Netflix.
Oh God. Well said.
I did feel a little bit like Anastasia getting into the elevator at the end of 50 Shades with The Witcher, when it was like the credits were rolling and I was like, The Witcher, and it was like, Rachel, and then the elevator doors closed.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Spanked
Totally
me.
wanted that. Well, shifting as fast as I can over to our guest. Reb, what is the most recent thing you have watched?
I watched for a second time the film Little Women.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Oh, how is
love
it?
I
Oh,
love
it's on my list.
It's on my list, too. I
so
haven't
much.
seen it
Okay,
yet.
so how familiar are you two with Little Women in general?
Deeply.
Fairly familiar, yeah. I
It's
know
an
it pretty
old
well.
book. Can
Yeah.
I spoil it or no?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yes,
Please.
by all
If
means.
we get any complaints from angry
Yeah.
white dudes about spoiling Little Women, they can
Little
go fuck
Women.
themselves.
If
Honestly,
white
I don't think
dudes-
that's our demo, to be honest.
That's
Here
true.
If white
on
dudes are
Screenfront?
hearing about or excited about Little Women and angry about Little Women's spoilers, that might actually be a win.
That's true.
I
that's
think,
true.
yeah, I'll take it.
That's true.
Really
That's
sure.
true.
No, so it's wonderful. So this is the 2019 film adaptation. It's directed by Greta Gerwig, who was totally snubbed in the awards.
Ugh.
Whatever. I don't really pay attention to film awards, but I am angry about this.
Yeah, same.
That's so it's fantastic. So I have been looking forward to this for a while. I have read the Little Women books. I have not seen the older film. I do love. I'm sorry, I'm going to say her name wrong. Sarah C. Ronan. I think that's correct. I
think
love her,
that's
and
right.
I love Florence Pugh. Sorry, I don't say names out loud. I read everything on the internet. And
It's
I,
okay.
And I
It's
love Laura
fine.
Dern. Like I love all three of those people so much. Lady
Yeah.
Bird is actually like I think my favorite film of all time, probably. Like I relate to it so much, and it's really important and good. And so this is just like this is the dream team for me. This looks so beautiful. And I was lucky enough. I have a friend who's a film critic. I got to see a screener before it came out, and I fell in love with it. And then I went to Alamo Drafthouse recently and watched it again. And I'm really bummed because they had a cozy screening of Little Women that I did not get to go to because it was sold out. But like the idea was they wanted you to bring in blankets and wear pajamas, and you would get like a cup of hot cocoa to drink while you watched it. And I'm so upset that I didn't get to go to that one. But anyway, it's so good. So it's
I bet.
if you have somehow not aware of the plot of Little Women, it's a story of these four girls growing up in the late 1860s. It's late Civil War, it flips back and forth between during the Civil War and after the Civil War.
Because their dad is serving in the Civil War.
Yeah, they live in Massachusetts, and so it's these four girls, and kind of their adventures, being Little Women, and the film does a really good job. So in the books, it's chronological. It starts out with them, being younger and kind of existing while their father's off in the war with their mother, and kind of growing up, and then there's like it's all one book now, but it's technically split into two books when you're reading it, and the second half is like them, growing up and getting married.
Yeah, as grown-ups.
But,
Going to Concord.
Yeah, but
I love it.
But in the
Concord.
film, it's like it splits back and forth. So it kind of opens in kind of the future, I guess the later time with Jo, she's the second oldest, I think.
Yeah.
Meg is the oldest.
Very feisty, very feminine.
And she's the writer. She's a writer, and
she's a writer.
I love it. And so
Yeah.
she's like being a writer in New York, and then it kind of flips back and forth between the two time periods and tells like the story of these girls growing up, and kind of figuring out not only who they personally want to be as they grow, but also sort of reckoning with the struggles of women in that era. And this is just the most marvelous film adaptation. I think this is accurate. If this is not accurate, I apologize. But I think that every line in the film is either a line actually from Little Women or from the author Louisa May Alcott's writings.
Very cool.
And some of them are just deliciously bold. Like there are just such wonderful conversations that just like resonate in just wonderful ways. Like I think the one that just like really hits me is the one where Jo has just gotten into this massive fight with her sister Amy, and Amy burned her book, which infuriates me. Like, how dare? But she's talking to her mom about it, and her mom, Marmee, Jo kind of laments that she doesn't know how to stop being angry, and Marmee goes, "Well, I'm angry. I'm angry a lot too." And Jo's like, "How? You're never angry?" And Marmee says, "I'm angry every day of my life." And it's like, I love you, Marmee. You're wonderful. Laura Dern is just fantastic.
Oh, yeah. No, it's I'm so sad that I haven't managed to get out to see that yet. It's just scheduling and stuff and like going to the movie theater. It's like knowing that movie is out there makes me so happy because like I fell in love with the Winona Ryder Little Women.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I kind of want to.
I watched it growing up, and I was just like, I love this. Like and I can only speak for the Little Women movie that I watched, but something so wonderful and terrifying in the moment where Jo sells her hair.
Yeah.
For me, like, it just, that lives with me. Like, that whole, like, thing where it's just like, ooh, you sold this, like, symbol of your femininity for, like, money. Like, I love it. I love it so much. Because, like, yeah, to, like, help. And, I can't. And then, of course, the musical that I think Sutton Foster played Joe March in. And has that song Astonishing.
Yeah.
I like deep connections to that property. And I'm chomping at the bit to have time to go see it.
I love the hair scene in the New Little Women because it's it's been a while since I've read the books. I'm sure this is in the books too, but I love that moment. Because she constantly talks about how she would rather be a boy. She hates that she has to be a woman and be stuck with all this, and she sells her hair and walks in all confident about it and is like, no, I did it. It's fine. It's great. And then she's sobbing on the stairs that night because it's still sad. Like, she is still attached to this feminine thing, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. Yeah. It's okay to have both of these feelings at the same time. And I just, it just breaks your heart, and it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see it since I saw the first trailer. I never saw the Winona Ryder one. I've read the book, although it's been a long time. But the new cast, I mean, I'll see anything Emma Watson's in. I love her. I think she's amazing. And the rest, and Laura Dern and the rest of the cast. And I still haven't seen Lady Bird, which I do have to watch.
So good.
But, and there aren't, like, I trust quite a few movie critics but I don't always see eye to eye with them. One movie critic, though, who I've always liked, even though I don't always agree with him, is Movie Bob, who does a ton of stuff on The Escapist. And his movie of the year last year, this came out December, right? Or yeah,
December.
It was Little Women, and he went on and on about why it's great, why Greta Gerwig is great, and like to see a guy who I relate to, who is a little older than me, but still of an ilk of white nerd male, who, like, you know, fits into a stereotype sometimes within the gaming nerd community. Totally loved this movie, thought it was great, recommended it wholeheartedly, didn't do a stupid gag about it or make some joke. He just gave a sincere and incredible review of it. And so that, like, I'd already wanted to see it, but after seeing that, it made me really energized to go see it. And so I'm hoping within the next week or so I can get out to see it, because it does look phenomenal.
Same.
And even
really
the trailers, the cinematography looks amazing.
Oh yeah,
beautiful.
It's beautiful. The costumes are amazing, and like literally everybody in this movie is deeply attractive. Oh my goodness, everyone's just beautiful, and it's so pretty. Can I talk about the ending? I've been itching to talk about the ending because it is a little bit different, but I don't want to do it if it's going to spoil it for you, because it is technically the book ending, but it's just done in a very particular way that I appreciate. Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, that's really fine, because it's
spoiler warning for an old book that you should have read by now.
It is a little bit different. Like if you're listening and you really like care about this kind of thing, I would maybe like pause or skip ahead a little bit. So at the end of the book, what happens is Joe gets married to this dude. I can't even remember what his name is. What is his dang name?
He's a professor,
Friedrich,
right?
I think, right. Like, so in the book, she marries this kind of older professor or whatever. It's like she rejects Laurie, she marries this guy. And I'm not like an expert on Louisa May Alcott, but if I understand it right, she had like particular feelings kind of on, women getting married and how that was just the expected way. Like, you have to end the book with women getting married. Like, that's just how it works. And she made a point to kind of have Joe marry someone unconventional. Like, he's an older guy. He's very different from this Laurie person that she grew up with. And it was supposed to be sort of a twist in a way, but she still gets married. Like, she still ends the book married. And I love the way Greta Gerwig did. And I should pay attention to who wrote this as well. But I love the way that they did the ending, because they framed it. It's the scene that goes back and forth between these two scenes that are happening. One of them is Joe, who is talking to her editor, Mr. Dashwood, about this book that she is submitting to him that's called Little Women, and it's basically the story of her and her sister's lives. And she's submitting it to him, and he has read it through, and he has agreed that he's going to buy it and sell it and print it and sell it. But he doesn't like it because at the end, the main character is not married. And he's telling her, well, she has to get married. And it's flashing back and forth between this and this other scene where Friedrich has shown up unexpectedly for dinner, and all the girls, and he kind of like drops some hints that he's interested in Joe, and then he leaves, and all the girls are like, Joe, you have to go after him, you love him. And Joe's like, no, I don't. And they're like, you love him. And they encourage her to go after him, and she goes after him, and she chases him down and tells him that she wants him to stay. And then the ending is them all in this like happy, idyllic scene in the house that she's inherited from her aunt, where they've opened a school and they're, teaching all these kids. And Joe is like this vision of the perfect housewife, like serving this cake for a birthday. And there's like kids running around everywhere. And it's just back and forth between this discussion where she finally caves and agrees that, okay, fine, I will marry off the heroine just so that the book can sell. And in the novels, it's not like that. In the novels, that's just how it ends. She, sells her book or whatever, and then she marries this guy. But in the movie, it's very much framed like it's not really what happened. Like it's what she wrote to sort of appease the editor. And I love that. I love that
very cool.
So much. It's so good. It's this weird, the last scene is this weird fever dream. Like, it does not jive with the rest of the movie in any way at all. And I love it. It's so cool, but it never, it just sort of ends on the book closing that reads Little Women, and you don't know. And I love that it leaves that question mark. I think that is the most brilliant dang thing. It's so good.
That's fantastic. I love that.
I'm sorry to have spoiled it for you, but dang, it's good.
That's okay. I do not feel spoiled.
I still want to see it just as much, so you have not spoiled my experience.
Honestly, that makes me want to see it more because I do want to participate in this fever dream. Anytime something's like a buck wild fever dream, I'm like, I'm in.
You must let me know how
please.
you feel about it.
I will. I shall.
Oh, it's just so interesting.
Well, Reb, thank you for bringing that movie on the show and to our attention again, because I've already been thinking about it, but hearing your excitement for it makes me excited to see it. But now I must ask you to describe Little Women using just 3 words, and 2 of them cannot be little or women.
Cozy. It's definitely cozy. Joyous and dresses.
Nice. I like that.
Cozy, joyous dresses. Ooh.
Done.
Dang.
Ship it.
Listen, I was sitting in the pew for this movie. Now I'm in the choir for this movie.
Get in the choir for this
that
movie.
Is
it's
what
real
has
good.
happened. I was already there. Now I'm like up there with my tambo, just like giving it my all.
Yeah.
You've taken me to church.
Excellent.
Well, Reb, thank you for being on the show today.
Reb, thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here. So, Rachel, for a little background, I met Reb through the awesome network that is the network of nerds that is the Super Deformed Gamescast, which is a podcast that happens every week on Thursday night live. I got to be a guest on their final show of 2019, which was incredible.
That show bopped.
It was amazing. It was the gay
I'm so
cast.
glad you were there for that.
It was a gay cast with a token straight. We love you, Sam.
Beautiful. I do love a token straight.
Or token straight.
But I was excited to have you on because also I adore the stuff that you're doing on the internet, mostly in the games space. So you're a writer for GamesIndustry.biz. You, of course, are on the podcast, Super Deformed Gamescast. What made you? I wanted to start by asking, what made you decide to go into games journalism? I feel like a lot of gamers grow up like writing things about games and like wanting to share how they love video games. But what inspired you to go into that medium?
It was sort of an accident, really.
Really?
Which is terrible. I was an English and philosophy major, so I was already writing. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I had, without going into too many details, my senior year of college, I had kind of a pleasant crisis where I realized that the thing that I still wanted to write, but the kind of writing I had thought that I wanted to be doing with my life was not, in fact, the kind of writing I wanted to do with my life. And so I needed a job, and I got a fairly boring but stable job doing technical writing for a few years, but I was bored. And I had a friend who wrote about sports for a big old network tell me that, hey, they have a games site. They're looking for games writers. And you play games and you write, so you could do that. And I did play games. I wasn't nearly as avid a gamer as I am now. But, I was really into Nintendo stuff, really into Pokemon. I had just been playing the Assassin's Creed games. So I knew a few things about games, but I didn't know anything about the industry, or I didn't really follow it heavily on the internet or anything. But I said, what the hell, and I went with it. And I just started writing for funsies. I did reviews. It was a games blog. It was at the time called Game Cited. Now they rebranded after a few years and called it App Trigger. And at first I was just doing game reviews and, occasional opinion pieces or writing quick hit news. It was just for fun. I just liked it. But after about 6 months or so, I started to really, kind of enjoy it, and I decided that I wanted to get better at it. And so I started putting a bunch of energy and effort into it, and I eventually got bumped up to a co-editor with the other editor at the site, Daniel George, and we decided that we wanted to go to E3 and see what that got us, and we went to E3, and I had this moment on the show floor at the Xbox kind of showcase talking to one of the developers on Darwin Project. And I like Darwin Project just fine. I'm not like super into it, but the guy was just so excited about his game. Like he was so happy. His game was on the show floor at E3 at the Microsoft booth, and he talked my ear off for 10 minutes about how he made the game and all these different things about development. And I was so happy listening to this guy. Like it was amazing. He was so happy, and like I was so happy just hearing what he had to say. And I walked away from that, and I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. And so I just started pushing really hard with freelancing after that, and ended up where I am.
That's so awesome. And so how did, because I don't actually, and at some point I'm going to have you all on my interview podcast to talk about the origins of SDGC, but how did you get involved with SDGC? How did that come to be?
I have no idea why they invited me to join them, honestly. It still confuses me. No, I was at PAX West so I knew about John mainly because he had written an article for, oh boy, I'm going to screw this up. Was it IGN or Polygon?
Probably
one
of those.
He's going to be
One
upset that I didn't remember what site this was. But he had written an article earlier that year. This was in 2018. About how there was a news story going around at the time that shooting games were I think teaching kids to be soldiers or something, like some nonsense. And he who has been in the military came back with a rebuttal. It was a very well written piece. I knew about that. I followed him on Twitter. And he ended up at the Kind of Funny Inter-Website tournament with me at PAX West in 2018. And I walked up to him and introduced myself, and I was like, oh, you wrote a great article. I follow your work. You're great. And he apparently was astonished that I knew who he was. And so after that, we became mutuals on Twitter, and I guested on the show twice after that. He just invited me on, and I went and did it. And then they just asked me to join the show. I really don't know why.
That's so funny.
That's how it happened. But I got to know them by being on the podcast for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I still can't trace how. I know that the source point of contact with SDGC for me as a listener was either John or Derek. They ended up in my retweets somewhere, and I followed them both. We interacted, and then they followed me back. And from there, I went down the spider web. I'm sure it's because Derek said something outlandish, and I went, that's funny. I need to follow this guy, if I had to guess.
Yes, that seems right, yeah.
But, I mean, what I love about the show is that kind of energy that you're just describing. All of you care so much about games, but also just care about creating a loving community. And, this last year, you created a community that's become so important to me because SDGC started a Discord server, which you created, you kind of run, and I'm just in awe of how this podcast has curated such an incredible community of gamers who we don't always agree, which is part of your mission statement for SDGC, but but we all are respectful of each other and engage in ways, and when we don't, or we're hurt or we're upset, we discuss it and we talk it out, and I have rarely, if ever, seen any ill will on this Discord or in the community, and I think that's something pretty special in games these days. Yeah,
it was very surprising, right? When we were talking about making that Discord server and we were kind of putting it together, I was trying to temper everyone's expectations, right? On an average live show, we will have fluctuating audience members between 20 and 40 people watching live at a time.
Right.
And other viewership elsewhere. So I thought, okay, we'll put this out there. We'll probably get 20 to 30 people-ish join the Discord. We might get a little bit more than that. Most of them will probably go inactive within the first week. It'll be fine. So I tempered everyone's expectations. I'm this is not going to be a big deal. We don't need to worry about this. We're just going to make the Discord. If people want to come hang out, they will. We have over 200 people now. I don't know where these people came from, but they're all lovely. And the one or two times we have had someone not lovely. I guess I care about this because I think I think it's important that communities, be inclusive and be welcoming, but I think that for a community to be inclusive and welcoming, that kind of inherently means that it cannot welcome everyone. That
Right.
It cannot welcome people who are cruel, who will sow chaos, who are bigoted, who are hateful, and who are going to attack people based on differences.
Yeah.
We are not welcoming to those kinds of people. And because of that, we have a really lovely community that is kind to each other and takes care of each other and can disagree on things that aren't like the fundamental human rights of our members.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and it's really great, and I think what has really attracted to me to SDGC and your writing, to focus back on you, is you come at games from a place of how I often feel about games. I'm not the most skilled video game player. I like playing video games, and I always felt the stigma that playing something on easy or playing something just for the story or playing something that doesn't have violence in it made me less than as a gamer. And the way you write, this piece I'm talking about specifically is the piece you did for your Game of the Year last year. I'm blanking on the name of the game. Can you
Eastshade.
Eastshade. This game is just such a beautiful game that doesn't require violence, a ton of narrative. Like, it's just such a beautiful gaming experience. It's that kind of writing that really has reinvigorated my love of the community, because as we all know, you both probably better than me, most of the nerd fandoms these days have been fairly toxic, at least on a superficial level. And so
it can be tough.
The kind of writing that you do just makes me... It's why I also bought a short hike for my spouse, which she loved. And I've started playing is because first I heard about it from Patrick Klepek, a incredible games journalist that I know that we're both a fan of.
Wonderful, yeah. And
then you wrote, you posted about it, and I think you also wrote about it. And I was like, all right, I have to play this game. And it's just the fact that you champion games that are nonviolent or that are just about, having an experience, I think is really important in the industry.
Yeah, I'm not like anti-violent game.
Right.
I love plenty of games that have guns and swords and all kinds of other things. I think that games in general have leaned very heavily on violent mechanics as just sort of a go-to. Like, if you have an idea for something, you probably build it around a shooter or a game where you hit things with swords or punch things. And that's like fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not anti that. But I think it's... I don't know if it's the older I get or the more games I play, but I have found so many interesting games that use different verbs that are not punch or slash or stab or shoot. And I want to play more games with more interesting verbs. And I want to, I don't know, the world's scary and dark, and I want to play more games that let me be kind to other people. Like, again, not knocking anybody. Some people's fantasy is that they are a terrible goose and destroy the village. Actually, that game was great. That's a bad example.
Yes.
Some people's fantasy
I
is
need to
that
play
they
that
could,
stupid goose game.
some people's fantasy is like they can make a bunch of big explosions, and that sounds really cool to me too. But my like overwhelming video game fantasy world that I want to live in is one where I can just be kind to people, and then like they are also kind to me and to other people. And I want to play lots more games like that.
Yeah, I as the resident, I would say casual gamer, plagued with dumb thumbs that just like can't. I jump at the opportunity to play games that are not so heavy on technical gameplay. There's one game that I played recently called Donut County.
Yeah.
And you just it's
big
just
hole.
it's a big hole, and you just like it's like Katamari, but it doesn't make me angry because I'm not very good at Katamari.
Okay, Katamari is difficult.
Katamari is so hard. I have been perpetually stuck on like level 5 for 6 months, and at a certain point, I just went, nope.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get good. But I loved Katamari because it's like you're like rolling up things, and I just love that. It's like you're not punching anyone, you're not shooting anyone, you're just like doing this absurdist like Brechtian act of gathering items from earth and people and buildings, and I just love it, and I love the music of it. And I would say like my entry point to being allowed to game was through Let's Plays on online, like being allowed to like enjoy stories when I necessarily couldn't like do it myself. So like I watched a ton of Let's Plays. It's how I discovered Undertale and the whole concept of, hey, here's this game where if you love it and the characters in it, this game and its characters will love you back. And I think that's just like one of the greatest things that games can do, because they are so personal and so controlled by you, the user, that when you have a piece that's just like giving you this catharsis or giving you this like deep set of like feelings of empathy. I haven't played it, but I did watch like a 2.5 hour video all about it. Pathologic.
Okay.
Where you essentially play this game like 3 times as 3 different characters, and it is a grueling punishment of a game. You cannot walk fast. People are dying all the time, and you're just like either this like young upstart like doctor character who's like come to this random town, no one likes you because you're an outsider and you're trying to like end this plague, and then you play again. Spoilers for Pathologic, but don't play it. Play Pathologic 2. I hear it's better because it's made in like Russia. And then the second one, you're a prodigal son and you're like the next in line to be like the high priest of this village. So you have to use magic to solve this plague. And then in the third one, you're like this little girl who's a changeling who may or may not be murdering people all the time. I don't know. But it's like this grueling, awful game. And it was described as the best game you will never play. And I just love that. I just love the doors that when people who want to make games can just like make like weird games where it's just like, yes, defy the narrator and see what happens, Stanley Parable. But I'm so excited for where games are going and how it's sort of expanding into this world that like I, as a casual gamer, can like get involved with, and I don't have to feel like I'm missing out on a really cool story because I don't technically have all the skills, you know?
Yeah, and I would argue that those kinds of games have always been there, but you're right, the conversation I think is changing. So
Yeah.
one, there's more opportunity for indie games, which, you know, overwhelmingly experiment with more interesting and more often less violent mechanics. There's more opportunity for them to kind of rise and for them to, you know, kind of get the word out and let people see them and let people play them. But I think the other thing is we're sort of working on eroding the stigma around casual games. Like The Sims has been around for a long time. We've had racing games for however long. We've had Harvest Moon for so long. Like there have been,
bring back Mario Paint, you coward.
yeah, there have been so many non-violent, casual, cozy games for, you know, Pong is not a violent game. It's like the first game. Tetris, not violent. But, like, with a few exceptions, like Tetris is Tetris, with a few exceptions, those games tend to be kind of, oh, you know, it's not a real game, whatever. It's like, I think I saw, like, a tweet going around or, like, a meme going around today that was like, oh, you know, my girlfriend, she's not a real gamer. She's, like, a casual, she's a casual, but she plays, like, you know, 100 hours of Stardew Valley and the Sims and like however many hours of Candy Crush, and she has like a group like a Discord group for Harvest Moon or something and all these other things, and it's like, no,
that's a gamer.
You can call yourself a gamer or not if you personally want to, you know, identify as such, but like you don't get to gatekeep gaming just because it's not the right kind of game for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've sunk so many hours into so many stupid like farm games where it's just like, and you let it grow. If my playing the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic iPhone app counts as gaming,
it does,
because I've sunk so many hours into it, then I am pro gamer. Someone give me my Twitch stream now, because holy smokes. Because, like, if you get a game that, like, just gets me into it, I will sink so much time into it. I beat Pokemon Shield in, like, a week and some change.
Yeah. It's good.
Because I just loved it. Because it was just, like, it's bright and it's colorful and it's very silly. And you can name all these Pokemon very stupid things. And it makes me very happy.
There's a Pokemon
I love
that's
all
an
my
apple,
children.
There's a Pokemon that's an apple pie dragon. Like, why? It's great.
Hello. There's one that's just, like, cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just cream.
Oh, I mean,
I've caught so many Yampers. Not gonna lie.
Hey.
Every time I see a Yamper, I catch it.
I mean, I love Yamper. I'm mad at his evolution. Not as cute as Yamper. I'm sorry. Bolton.
Get out.
Bolton's great.
Get out.
But it's all about Yamper.
Bolton is a beautiful, beautiful boy. And you can just get out with that trash. Bolton got me out of so many scrapes through my playthrough because Bolton's fast. And, like, sometimes you just need, like, a very fast Pokemon to do their move before the other guy can do their move.
All dogs are good.
How dare you? All dogs are perfect.
All dogs are perfect. That's true. I also know that everyone on this call currently loved Fire Emblem and all agrees that Claude is the best boy that we don't deserve, even though he wasn't
so
in
good.
the game. But, like, that's a game.
I mean, there's a hack that you can make all of the
I'm sure.
the non-straight ships happen. So,
but that's a game where, like, I went into it for the strategy game stuff because I didn't really know Fire Emblem that well, and I ended up loving the not dating sim, but like the life sim version of it, part of it more.
it's a dating sim. Are you kidding? You go on tea dates with those characters. Get out.
As their
It's
teacher,
like
which is a little
someone
weird.
went, ooh, turn-based strategy simulator, but also Dream Daddy. Let's go.
Dream
Let's
Daddy.
go.
There's
Yes,
a
Dream
boyfriend
Daddy.
dungeon.
Boyfriend
coming
Dungeon.
out
I
this year,
cannot
too.
wait for that game.
Date your swords.
Oh, I want
I'm
to.
so
Have you
excited.
guys? Did you guys ever play the pigeon dating sim?
Hi, it's our boyfriend.
How to Fool Boyfriend?
Yeah.
How to a boyfriend? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, I love dating sims. Jeez, they're so good.
They're so
Our
good.
Boyfriend Dungeon is
I love
easily
them.
my most anticipated game of 2020, I think now. I
Very
want
excited.
I want to dungeon crawl and then date those weapons. Give it to me.
Yeah.
I want the thing.
Let me date those weapons.
And
Damn it.
The dog one too, the one where you just like live in a community where everybody has dogs. Or
Oh
something.
yeah, it's a dog dating sim. where-
BFF, best friend forever. That's
oh
right.
yes, that's right. Where the Shiba Inu is like the mascot in the trailer. Yeah, that one looks.
Yeah, that's also this year.
That's amazing. Who doesn't want
Dang.
good doggos and good dating? Like, who doesn't? Who doesn't want that? Terrible people. That's who don't want it.
Probably the alt-right.
Well, fuck them.
Yeah.
Yes, I said fuck the alt-right and fuck Nazis. If you don't like it, don't listen to
Fuck
our
Nazis!
show. Yeah, I mean, don't fuck them, punch them, but like,
Punch
They-
Nazis right in their throat. They're from their nasty talking parts.
No Nazis.
no Nazis. Nazis bad. Well, Reb, thank you for being on the show. This has been a blast.
Sorry that got
Yeah,
weird.
it got a little weird at the end. We do that here.
Not that weird. It's fine.
But this has been a pleasure. Before we wrap up, and before we do our final sign-off stuff, why don't you tell folks where they can find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Duck Valentine. It's all one word. You can everything's all one word on Twitter, I guess. You can find my writing if you are interested in how the games industry works, in how publishers and developers and investors all work to make the games that you love. You can find my writing at gamesindustry.biz. And if you like podcasts, oh no, I never remember what this is. If you like podcasts, you can listen to the SDGC podcast. It is on every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Central. It's at twitch.tv/official SDGC.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
We're actually having our Game of the Year show
Finally.
on Thursday.
I'm very excited.
So
Hooray.
if you want to hear me gush about Eastshade some more and hear everybody else yell about the other games they like, I think we have most of the cast on Thursday, so it should be pretty good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm very excited for the cavalcade of hosts that are going to be on that show on Thursday. I will be there in chat, so if you come hang out and listen to an awesome podcast. We have one.
I might be there in chat.
Do
but who knows? I may forget.
That's okay.
Before we ask you our final question for you, Reb, we have some thank yous to do. Rachel, why don't you take it away?
Yes, we do. First and foremost, thank you so much to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game, featuring Stefan Remble.
I also would like to thank the incredible Katie Bug, who designed our incredible logo for this podcast.
Oh, we look so cute in that logo.
We do. Way cuter than we do.
Not
in
as
life.
cute as Katie Bug,
That's
but
true.
pretty cute.
Definitely cuter.
And thank you so much to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for once again not firing us.
Yes.
And allowing us to be part of your beautiful podcast family.
We live in fear every week of this podcast network firing us because
I just never know. Case came at me with the semicolons in the Discord server, so who knows where we're going.
if you go to certainpov.com, we do have a permanent link to our Discord server where you can chat with us about all of the shows that are on our incredible network. Talk about this show and how awesome Reb was. Please come and do that.
Yeah, Yeah. Watch
Shucks.
Kay slowly bully me over there.
And of course, definitely write us a review either on your podcast platform of choice. I like to think we're a 5-star podcast. We're definitely 5-star humans, and that helps us to get featured in other people's feeds for their podcast enjoyment.
Yeah, and if you aren't listening to this on any podcast platform, you're magic. Just shout to the wind that you really like this show.
And we'll feel it. We'll just feel that.
We'll feel it. Ooh, thank you. Wow. This felt great.
All right, Rachel.
All that love.
Why don't you ask our guests our final question?
Of course. So Reb, in the history of the spoken word into the cinematic story, we've leaned on certain pieces of quick information. Something that's just like happens in a story a lot, to the point that it elevates from just a thing that happens to a trope. A beautiful trope that everyone just goes, there's that trope. Did it again, Scorsese. You did it. Does he do a lot of tropes? I don't know. He's the first filmmaker I could think of. But in the long history of cinematic and televisional tropes, which one would you choose to become true in your life, Reb?
Oh no.
I know.
This is a very difficult question. I think, I don't know if this is a trope. You can tell me that this isn't a trope if it's not. But I like it when the whole thing where there's a character who's like really upset, and they're just like talking like nonstop, and then all of a sudden the person that they're with or that they really like or whatever just leans in and gives them a kiss, and everything's great.
Ooh, yes, that is
that,
definitely
like,
a trope.
Surprise, like,
yeah,
you're
that
so
is
attractive right
that
now,
is as
this thing you're passionate about, and I'm just gonna kiss you, and then they're into it, like it's okay, and we're all good, and it fixes things.
Yeah, no, that's as old as Shakespeare. Are you kidding? That's how Much Ado ends, where it's like, I'll stop your mouth with a kiss.
Yeah, I
doing
like
it. That's a good trope. Yeah, like, I was scared that you were gonna go with slapping, and I was like, I thought you were nonviolent.
No, I don't like slapping. Nobody slap anybody else.
Don't slap. Don't slap unless
people.
unless you have explicit consent for slapping.
That's true.
Yes.
Unless you're just like, hit me with those meat mitts right in my face, Daddy. Do it with the meat mitts.
Consensual slapping is acceptable, but it is not my trope.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it sound weird by calling them meat mitts. But no, I love that. I love so much that we've had so many guests and we haven't had a single repeat trope.
No, not yet. Yeah,
that's pretty amazing. I think that is an incredible feat that our guests are so beautiful and varied and interested in so many different things. I'm excited. Reb, thank you so much for reminding me that movies do that thing where they kiss, and I love it. It makes me really happy.
This is so much fun.
Yes, thank you so much, Reb, for coming on the show. It's been a blast having you on. I really appreciate you taking the time. This was a lot of fun.
No, absolutely. Thank you.
And with that, we will wrap up. Thank you, as always, to our screen beans.
I already got weird with the meat mitts,
You did.
so I'm just going to wait for you to be
saying
done.
Meat mitts. Just
Meat
stop.
mitts.
Meat mitts.
I've lost control.
Slapfest meat mitts.
Thank you, Rachel Quirky Shank.
Thank you, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
This has been Screen Snark, Screen Beans.
Again.
We'll see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere.
Bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Doodaloo doo doo doo, Aurora. Doodaloo doo doo doo, Aurora. Doodaloo doo doo doo, Aurora.